sitting here watching this stream today, you cannot underestimate how ahead of the curve you are right now.
Bitcoin looks tired. All coins look hungry.
I'm just not quite sure that Bitcoin has any more solves.
I still think this thing is really worth a lot more than it is.
This stuff's spooky, man. These chaos PRZs are intense.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Solana is highly performant and has the team with the experience to support it.
$4,800 Ethereum. That's a big, big move here.
Whatever you do, always play from a position of strength. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to DeltaFi. Got myself and Rob Levy today on the show, and we've got Papa Messi in the wings. Just kidding, he's not here, but he's very, very tired. I spoke to him today. He's wrecked. Baby not sleeping, as babies do when they're a week or two old. We'll get him back in due time. But I do ping him every week because I'm just checking in on my guy, and today he sends his love. Or not. I don't know if he did, but I just like to say it. Sounds cool. Gunny also got held up today by doctors. You know, doctors, they just like to take their sweet time. You sit in the waiting room. Your appointment was an hour ago, but there you go. I think actually Messi had a rant about that a few months ago. Anyways, so that hit our guy. So, Robbie, you and me, like the good old days, sitting here. There is a lot to cover. I am bubbling with things that I want to say, but I know you are too, and you're going to get to go first today.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've been watching, we talked about the ETH Merge, a lot of excitement there. We're going to talk about that, I'm sure, a lot because it's the biggest story in crypto right now. But
it's coming up.
I mean, if we want to just take a step back and think about what's going on overall in this market, it kind of trended towards this range low here after putting in a nice bear market rally. I think the bottom line, we've been talking about it, unfortunately, we're in the grips of this global macro and geopolitical black hole. And, black holes, they have this gravitational pull, and the gravitational pull on this one is very strong. And it's got a really tight grip on Bitcoin and the whole crypto market. I mean, when you think about global macro and geopolitical, what does that mean? Well, let's think about the euro.
Let's think about that energy crisis, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in the last 2 weeks, the euro has spent more time under the big psychological $1 mark than it has over $1. Is a cheap euro necessarily a bad thing for Europe right now? I don't know. Maybe not. Not if the bulk of their liabilities are euro denominated. What it means, though, is the euro makes up over 50% of the dollar index, the DXY. So when the euro is getting smoked against the dollar, you better believe the dollar index is going to be rallying. And, the other big makeup of the dollar index, the Japanese yen, right? The yen traded down to levels we haven't seen since 1998, near the Asian flu. That's almost 25 years. The yen is down 30% against the dollar in 6 months. That's massive. The dollar yen pair is
it's mooning
massive.
On my chart. I think I've got the inverse of what you're referring to.
No, it's screaming higher. Yes.
Yeah.
So this is USD JPY. So the yen in dollar terms is getting absolutely torched. The dollar's rallying against the yen. And that's this dislocation in monetary policy, right? We're raising rates, doing that stuff. The yen, the Japanese central bank, they're just 0% interest rates for pretty much for good now. It's QE infinity. And that's really, really showing in these markets. Now, I think on the flip side, when we think geopolitical, Russia, it's doing its best fighting right now in the global markets and in economies. I mean, look what it's doing to this war and Russia's and all this back and forth, what it's doing to Europe with their nasty energy crisis. I mean, this has been fueled like in a huge way and exacerbated by like Russia.
Hello. Yeah, Wirecast crashed. That's not bad. Not bad. Not good. Not bad. Just going to get Robbie back in here and we'll continue on. He was getting into some juice there. So that's good. Not great, but good. Wirecast. Bing. Start session. Create session. Send link to Roberto Leviathan. It's not my internet, Big Mizzy 45. You watch your mouth. My internet actually didn't even blip. It was software related crash. All right, Robbie's back. We just got to go bing, and he's back. Okay, my bad, guys. Blame it on the software.
Did Putin rug us?
Yeah, Putin's like, cut the stream. They're talking about Russia. All right, let's get you back into your rhythm. You're back. You're back.
Yeah.
You're already live,
Well,
so.
I mean, bottom line, like Putin's best fighting's been in these markets and the economic war. Like the chart on German power price was the most parabolic chart of anything I've seen lately, and it looks like it might be breaking now, which would be amazing. But it legitimately just went absolutely parabolic.
Is there a ticker on that? I've seen the charts. I would love to pull one up. I don't have one. I guess I could like Twitter search Euro energy.
You can definitely,
because it is phenomenal.
It's crazy, and it's kind of broken. The electricity prices there today are down like 25%. I mean, they are going to try to fight this, and I think they're going to dig in on it. But bottom line is that's where Putin's winning. He's not really winning in on the field, but he's winning in these markets. And the bottom line is like power prices typically are higher during the winter when it's super cold. And I just hope that we don't get into a situation where it's a bad cold winter and Putin is pulling some strings. But, I do think that the one, and I'll say it, I think I repeat this thesis all the time, but like the silver lining of this depressing, like macro, just kind of hellhole is that our long-term thesis to me for crypto assets and Bitcoin is the strongest that it's ever been, in my opinion. Like what we're witnessing between in the global market, central bank monetary policy actions, how the markets are moving, everything like that, the geopolitical risk and sovereign, non-sovereign, it's like the product market fit of crypto assets, it's getting stronger and stronger, and it's like gradually realizing before our eyes, which to me is it makes me feel a little better about the situation, because we do have the opportunity to deploy more fiat currency into Bitcoin, into Ethereum, Solana, other network tokens that I believe have a really, really, really strong chance of gaining value and significant value in fiat terms. Which is the catch, right? Because what will fiat buy you in 5 years, 10 years? That's the ever sliding marker. I mean, the trend is clear. I don't think that can reverse. I don't think they're going to have a buyback and burn on USDs anytime soon. So it's interesting, but yeah, I've been doing a little buying like today. It's hard, man. This is not a trade friendly environment. I've been stopped out and bullied, I'd even say, by some of this stuff over the last little bit. Let's go see if I have any of my wrecked trades on here. But
Yeah, like I was short up against these highs over the weekend. I got stopped out. That was the perfect high. Missed my short. Anyone who was long through this probably got shaken out through this reload zone. I didn't trade it because I was still sad about my Sunday night short. This is now another short I've got firing this morning. I'm not getting too into the scalpiness. I've done it a few times, and most times I just look back and say, I got better things I can do with my time. What I am seeing today, which was interesting, is Solana suddenly, after kind of abandoning ship at around $42 or $41, this breakdown here, I decided, that's a failed breakout. So I think I cut it on like day 3 of this pull down. So I actually bought that back. I just felt a little naked without it. We're right up against the lows. There's a little W working here. The volume's not great, but there's something there for Solana. So I did pick some up today. But everybody should be watching this ETHBTC chart. Because not only does that drive the altcoin speculators, it always has, probably always will. Well, I don't know about always will. That's bold, but it always has. And so you get these big alt rallies when this thing's doing well, and vice versa when it's not. And it is breaking out to new highs. It looks like it is. On the weekly, you don't get the volume that I like to see. But if we get 1 week where it's a little higher than these red candles, that's going to be bulls back in control. But zooming in, which is where I like to start with these trades, because the weekly, if you trade off weekly signals, you tend to be pretty late to a 4-hour, 1-day trade. The daily volume's looking good. The last couple sells, just no one really home. Nobody's really looking too short here, according to the volume on this particular chart. And then on the 4-hour, we've just got lots of nice little, actually, it's not the one I was looking at here, but lots of little volume there. I've been trading it and charting it on, what's it called? FTX. Now, it looks like that 4-hour close we just got 15 minutes ago was red, so this doesn't look too great. Anyways, the general consensus I've got, according to these charts, is that this daily, you can see the volume. So the buyers are here. We're heading into the merge, and then we just got this news today, actually, that I had shared with me in another little chat. Let me take a look at it. I'll pull it up for you guys. Basically, it's the start of this narrative around, will the U.S. be looking to squeeze the POW, for energy reasons? High energy use protocols, will they be squeezed in, aka POW? So let's just pull that up. Whoops. So this is what I was reading today that got me looking at ETHBTC again, because the merge is going to crush emissions for ETH. That's not news. Everyone knows that. And so the ETH-BTC pair should reprice based on that alone. But now you're getting this kind of a narrative emerging from the Environmental Protection Agency, basically saying should these measures prove ineffective at reducing impacts, the administration should explore executive actions, and Congress might consider legislation to limit or eliminate the use of high energy intensity consensus mechanisms for crypto asset mining, aka POW, aka Bitcoin. And I think this narrative, along with the merge, I don't see too many ways that it doesn't just reprice this pair. It's just, so while right this second I feel late to the trade with the way I like to trade, I also look at this and just say, well, it hasn't even broken out yet, really. So how can I be late?
Yeah.
It's as long as I give myself some room, right? So we kind of had that. This is the 3-day. We had the 3-day close above this key level, and then we just tapped it back, and we're just hovering above now, and there's volume bubbling up. So I did take a long this morning, I should say I started a long position. It's not filled, and that is on ETHBTC because I want to see this thing reprice. I think it will.
Yeah. I mean, it's the chart to watch in crypto. It's the most important chart right now, I think. I mean, we've been talking about it. I think it's going to be really interesting to see what happens here, and a lot of positioning is taking place, which is just going to act as more fuel. And
yeah,
there's going to be certain people, if they're waiting for this sell the news type of thing, sell the event type of thing. There's a lot of people there who are keeping dry powder to buy the hell out of that dip if it happens. And
Me too. Yeah.
And if they're waiting for that dip, the event dip, and let's say they don't get it, then you can get a little bit of FOMO as it's kind of breaking out in that pair, and then it's like it can go.
I still want to see this. I still want to see 1250. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, it could happen. The macro, just this, going back to what I was talking about, like that black hole, that macro gravitational pull can do really, really crazy things. You might get a truly miracle buying opportunity on some sort of flash crash. There's no reason why it couldn't happen. I'm not saying it's going to, but like it wouldn't be surprising if it is. That's the type of stuff that's going on in this market when the dollar yen is moving 30% in 6 months, when you're getting moves in rates and everything, and there's geopolitical stuff going on. Those are the times where you have to be ready for crazy stuff. Doesn't mean it's going to happen, but you have to be ready for it. And if you've got some levels that line up with your chart and RT, you got your dream buy down there at 1250. Well,
there's a lot of levels there. I mean, there's a CME gap, ABCD target. There's the POC actually was down here. Now it's moved up because there's been a lot of trading up here. But there is a fat node on the VPVR. There's a big gap. There's the W breakout, Wyckoff check kind of stuff. And if it's over here, there's a trend line. Like, there's all of these things that are just saying this would be a level to be interested in. It's so obvious for every kind of trader seems to have a level there, no matter what little TA you use, that I'm obviously like, am I going to get it? I don't know. But I decided to take a directional trade on ETHBTC as a pair. Finally, I think I could have done it a lot sooner. Obviously would have been really sharp down here in my own PCZ, which is where it was back in June. But I was thinking about it this morning. I was doing some analysis, and I thought, I can't be late to this trade. If the trade is to reprice out of this range, it hasn't even broken the highs. But because it is a little high up on the local timeframes, I had to kind of open slowly and be prepared to add if we get a dip instead of like, oh my god, I was wrong, sell everything. Yeah. So I don't expect this to break out pre-merge. In fact, I don't really want it to. Pre-merge, we get up into here, we sweep these highs. Like, I'm a little nervous because then post-merge, you have the opportunity to. So I'd like to see it bubble up and positions be taken, and then the merge kind of pass, because that is the existential threat. There's still probably a very good reason to be cautious heading into this merge, because let's be honest, we're not devs. I don't know how the fuck it works. I know they've done test nets. I know they've done multiple test nets, and it should work. Yep. But there's probably some actors out there who want it to fail. Who knows what kind of things they could do? Who knows what kind of things miners who are annoyed could do? I don't know. I don't know any of this stuff. So once that's in the rearview mirror and the dust is settled and they go, ha, and Vitalik tweets that they had a successful upgrade to the POS, I expect there, especially if we don't rally hardcore into that moment, I expect there to be some very intense price action. And I think it's going to play out most profoundly or most boldly or most pronouncedly on this chart, ETHBTC.
Yep.
Just, Bitcoin has nothing going for it right now except for the next halvening. And that's not to say Bitcoin's dead, but like that halvening is a really nice thing. Circle on your calendar. Who's swapping their ETH over to that? Unless that's like a post-merge thing and I've got it totally backwards. And as soon as the merge is done, then ETH has nothing going for it and then we swap back. I don't know.
Swapping their ETH into that is one thing. That's like a very crypto-centric kind of OG mentality. Mm-hmm. I think what Bitcoin has going for it is this, obviously it's in a fight against the idiots who talk about this is affecting our climate, which I think is absolutely misguided. But the bottom line is non-sovereign store of value, the most secure compute power, this finished product of Bitcoin has so much value relative to the amount of sovereign wealth that is being stored in these currencies that you really have to have a lot of trust into these central banks and into just the overall outlook for them getting out of the massive amounts of debt. And it's not that they need to. I think it's great. They can have debt and they can print money and keep everybody happy. But the bottom line is there are other assets that are going to appreciate in those currencies' terms. And that's what Bitcoin has going for it. And it's got things going for it that Ethereum doesn't have with decentralization.
Yes.
True decentralization, and which is going to be even more like there's going to be arguments between proof of work and proof of stake and the true decentralization, and people talking about what does staking represent in Ethereum and how people can muscle it with monetary, like it's going to be an exciting stretch.
Now let's be clear. Bitcoin is in a reload zone off of a high time frame sort of reversal, right? Where you see, okay, we have a really big downtrend and then we start making higher highs and higher lows. And typically, as often is the case, you come back to test those lows. And that is this reload zone. We had a pretty nice bit of buy volume in last week. Arguably could have been some selling because it did make a new low there. But we've got bullish divergence on the MACD. We've got some bullish divergence on the RSI. Willie, the old Willie indicator, is stupidly oversold. And the RSI, like, the moving average is breaking up through. So there's lots of reasons if I was a Bitcoin bull to start thinking about taking position here, if nothing else, because I am against these lows that I can risk against. Although I feel like on a high time frame like thing, the market's going to be savage and not let people just get away with longing against that. But just to be clear, this is a place to be thinking long on Bitcoin or not thinking about Bitcoin. It's not a place where I rush into short. I'm not much of a breakout trader. I'm breaking that rule with this just because of all the reasons I explained. But I just want to be clear. I don't want to I don't want to be that guy shitting on Bitcoin in the higher low, which high time frame, this is your dream scenario as an investor, I think, even though we don't have those weekly W's that ideally I'd like to see. So I just want to get that out there. There's reasons to be thinking, hey, I'm going to take a shot on Bitcoin here. I don't know. Now, somebody else in the chat pointed out everything dumps after September 24th. I don't know what's on that date. I'd be curious why that date. I think the merge is a little before. And that could be true, right? I could be getting caught up in logging the highs as we head into this speculative event that once the merge is in the past, it's like, oh, well, nothing's exciting anymore. We're going to go back to like shitty macro. That's totally possible. And then I'll have to eat shit and I'll have to lose some money and I'll close my trade. But I actually think, this is the debate right now. Are things pushing up because of anticipation of this merge? And when that's in the past, there's a bunch of selling and it's all over? Or are things like, is it like a beach ball underwater? And in fact, there's more people waiting for it to go through successfully to then get on board because they're nervous about it working out or not. That's a really tough thing to quantify. I'd be very curious to know your thoughts on that.
Oh, God. There's just...
It's impossible to know, right? But let's speculate.
It's impossible to know. We taught, like, even someone, Big Mizzy 45 in the chat says structural sell pressure is all but eliminated with Ethereum. And what he means by that is there's no longer this daily sell pressure from miners, right? Who are running this business of mining ETH and it's being emitted every block.
Yeah.
So
13,000 ETH. Now the daily emissions will be like 2,000. That's not nothing, but it's not enough to pump price on the day.
It's not enough. Honestly, it's not enough to me to move the needle. Now, during illiquid times when markets are, like the bottom line in general, liquidity has been sucked out of all markets globally. Like really, that is what this quantitative tightening, that's what's going on. And crypto has had that times 5 because of how much liquidity was sucked out with the Luna UST crash. That sucked out a ton of liquidity from these markets. So it just makes it so that even 10,000 ETH a day, 11,000 ETH a day, like it's more exacerbated in a low liquidity environment. Now, there are the game theory of big financial players And that's with big miners. That's people who own a ton of ETH. Like, I mean, miners typically could be the biggest owners of the native token. So there are definitely games that can be played there.
Ooh, scaring me with that. That's a good point.
Yeah, I mean,
Sell.
You never know, but I'll tell you what, the blockchain sleuths can sniff that out. It's just a matter of if they're. I mean,
I thought you said sleuths. I was like, bro, we
No.
are live on family television right now.
No, the sleuths can sniff out when miners are selling, and they can, who knows if they're going to put it out there on Twitter before they sell, but you can see that stuff. So people will be watching, but these markets are still, they're not enormous, and big funds, big hedge funds, big traders and players can move markets with big order flow. And you never know when positions are high, when there's a lot of open interest, it's all up for grabs. You never know what's going to happen. And usually they kind of try to screw both longs and shorts. So.
Yeah, well, look, Vibes says kind of what I'm thinking, which is the side I'm obviously leaning on with this trade. He says, I heard a lot of people are waiting to buy ETH so that they can stake, but they're waiting for the merge to go through. I think the post-merge, we'll see a rally when the successful news breaks. And I think so too. And like you said, there's a lot of positions on right now into the merge. Grab your POW coins, dump them. What do you buy with those? We're getting on the train. Are we breaking out? It's going to be so exciting. And I'm going to try not to click too many times on my mouse that day because I'm sure it's going to be very volatile. And then you're going to see a tweet, and then you're going to see a tweet, and it's going to move markets around, and it's just going to be a very high intensity day. So my goal is to be positioned into it. Now I've got some spot ETH. I've actually got more cash because I want to see that dip. But the ETHBTC pair, for like on a 2 to 3 month basis, I don't know. I could be very wrong, but we'll see. It's not a make or break trade. But man, if this breaks out higher, it's going to be fucking awesome for ETH, for altcoins. Particularly, and this is what we talked about on the Tuesday solo stream, particularly in the ETH derivatives and ETH Arbitrum zone. I think Arbitrum could be in for like a kind of a rally across the board. We've got a lot of really nice setups too. I don't feel like I have to buy the highs on these. Umami. Ooh, mommy. She's breaking out of the reload zone now. I picked her up last week at the reload zone. Maybe got 30%, a little more. Didn't even notice that. That's cool. So really starting to move up. There is a lot of charts that look very much the same over on Arbitrum. Low cap, sub. I mean, high cap over here is like 100 million. You're like, whoa, that's pretty high, dude. There's some 2 million, 20 million market cap coins. If we get an Arbitrum rally with an Arbitrum airdrop kind of looming, people speculating anyways, I think all these sort of W's off the lows could consolidate here into another leg. That's how I'm positioning myself with some of my ETH. I'd say about 1/3 of my ETH has been rotated into some of these. And in case they don't outperform ETH, I went and rebought that ETH that I rotated into them. So more of a USD trade. But yeah, Magic, I don't have any yet. 150 mil, not as low cap, but, and I did obviously, I've got some GMX late to this particular rally, but I think it's breaking out to new highs.
I mean, do you like Arbitrum? Do you use it? You like the experience?
You know what? I hadn't. I had used it GMX like originally, way back when it first launched. I went over to GMX with a few ETH and I messed around and it was great. Mm-hmm. I was on it yesterday and yeah, like the trades go through instantly. I didn't even see the fees, but last I checked, they were $5. I think they're like $1 now. I'd have to double check. But the experience over there is very smooth because it's kind of like, it's essentially an ETH experience. You're getting, like you can find faster transactions on Solana, on AVAX, all these things. But given that Arbitrum is growing in liquidity and all that, I think it makes up over 50% of the TVL on ETH L2s now. So yeah, Kevin says Arbitrum's been great. Struggles over large volume days though. So Arb gas fees very low. Yeah, so I think there's room for an ecosystem-wide rally there. I'm seeing it in the charts. I'm hearing it in the wings. And of course, if there's an Arbitrum airdrop, or even speculation about one, I think that could really drive some interest. So that's sort of my hope and my play for Q4 this year into, if there's like a post-merge world where everything's doing well. That's a big if because I'm a macro, but there's a big if there, but that's how I'm positioning some of that ETH exposure.
Yeah. No, I mean, listen, they're the beautiful thing about markets in general. There are literally opportunities everywhere, up, down, left, right, and they always continue to present themselves. And there's a lot of second degree, third degree kind of bets you can make. Increasing those dependencies on if this, then that.
Yeah. That's the problem, right? Everything I just described requires ETH to go up or at least go sideways.
Yeah.
Post-merge cannot be sell the news indefinitely. Like it cannot, if we break 1250 in those ranges that I'm talking about, everything on my Arbitrum plays is cooked.
So to me then, what that tells me is like, you said you moved some of your ETH into these plays and then you rebought the ETH. I think mathematically and technically, you probably didn't need to rebuy that ETH. Like there is a mathematical level where you could not have necessarily increased your risk. And, because if ETH goes down, if what you're saying is true, you really think Arbitrum stuff, all that stuff's going to go down too, then it's like a double whammy.
That's a good point. I should look at these versus ETH. I was charting them versus USD, so I figured I should buy them versus USD.
Yeah.
And that's why after buying them versus ETH, I went, I'm going to go replace that ETH, so it's a USD trade. But I go chart them in ETH.
Yeah.
Let's go see what PLS says versus ETH. It's not as good. Here, I don't see the same thing. I mean, okay, it's pump chaser zone. I don't know. I like it more versus USD. I generally don't like getting into versus ETH versus Bitcoin trades anymore. But you're right. I think, now I guess it's worth saying, because you mentioned like my overall risk, taking some risk. I am like 53% in cash still. And I've got cash in other parts of my life, like 53% in cash that I plan to, roll into crypto at some point.
Bless your heart.
That's a good context for people that might be listening. So they're like, we're up to 80, 90% exposure. I'm like, nah, I'm still 48% after kind of puking a lot of things out over the last few months. I'm not there yet. Now, if we go to 1200 ETH, if we get into here and I see anything but absolute, I don't know. I mean, we'll probably get there on absolute death headlines anyways. Point is, I'm going to be up to like 70, 80, 90% exposure through this. That's just the way it's going to be.
Yep.
Fuck it. That's what I'm waiting for. Now, if we don't get that and we just chill here and start moving up, well, I'll reposition. But for now, I'm saving the big bucks for something down in here.
Yep.
Just to be clear, so people aren't like, God, RT's all in on Arbitrum.
Yeah.
What would that be? Let me see. Let me just find out exactly my exposure on that. You continue. Don't mind me.
Justice Canfield in the chat's talking about Adam. He said it last year. He'll say it again. Watch Cosmos. It's been strong. There's been buyers of it. I'm with you, Justice. I'm
look at this. I saw this morning it was breaking out. A couple guys tweeting about it got me thinking, about Adam. I'll go look at it, and it's breaking out. Look, in a weird way, it's outperforming everything, right? Because off those June 17th lows, Bitcoin came up, it's all the way back down. ETH came up, it's halfway back down.
Yeah.
Most of the market, Solana, all the way back down. Adam's like, I don't give a fuck. I'm quietly not back down at all. In fact, I'm making new highs. What is going on with Adam? Somebody please explain. There's something brewing because it's very quiet right now. Nobody's really talking about it.
One thing that's going on, besides what's going on technically there, who knows? They might have something coming up. But I do believe that altcoins right now, and most of them, even like the big ones, they're at the whim of day-to-day order flow, legitimately. And if a fund has investors that want to pull their cash out and redeem because they're scared and maybe they haven't done well over the last 6 months, then whether the fund manager likes it or not, he's got to sell stuff to pay cash out to those people. And so, you're going to see selling in certain coins that they hold. Now, on the flip side, when a fund gets new money, new investors, those cash inflows, they get put to work either buying altcoins that they like and already have existing positions in, or they start allocating to new positions and new coins. So you'll see like, well, shit, someone's TWAPing in on Atom the last 48 hours, or someone dumped a shitload of sushi 2 days ago. I saw it on chain. Like you can kind of see it. It's almost like order by order. A lot of this flow is really just kind of, it's moving these coins, because the liquidity providers, they're not putting any line in the sand. They're not like taking extra inventory risk on this stuff right now. Most of them aren't. So I think Atom's been getting flow, period. And there's money.
Sounds like there's a conference coming up, end of the month, staking 2.0. So there is some speculation driving it. And in fact, maybe more to the point, like there's just people holding it that are like, well, I'm not going to sell at least until this conference. I want to know what they've got cooking. There's a lot of shit brewing. This is the Atom ETH chart. And I find it fascinating that in the 4 weeks leading up to the merge, Atom is outperforming. And it just confirmed a weekly W down in this reload zone, which is generally a place where, we can think about getting long. And now it's confirmed that. And since then, it tapped down and is now just looking like it's going to break out the local chaos, very local, just using the right shoulder of this W is right up at a level you'd expect to see some resistance. So if I was a trader and I was going to be long an Atom here versus Ethereum, trading this chart, I think we could get a move here. Breaking out from this, that's like 82%. And, does that happen over a period of a month? What's at the conference? Is it going to be post-conference like, holy shit, Atom has a use case now. We're going to burn it every time something happens, like it would explode. So it'll be interesting to see what they've got cooking over there. I have a little bit of Atom. I don't have enough. I looked at it the other day at like $11. I think it was when I was on one of my solo streams last week or this week. Yeah, and I was like, I should get some and just like try to get a free position, right? Because if you can trade it up to here off $11 to $22, you can basically have a free position the rest of your life.
You know what it sounds like to me?
What's that?
It sounds like some of that ETH exposure. Throw into Atom because it looks good against ETH in the chart. And then some of that Atom exposure, throw into the Atom ecosystem plays. And let's move some of that risk over there. We'll go with Justin Hanfield in the chart and
okay,
he's a bull.
Cosmos will be launching interchange security rewards to the end of the September. Yeah, no, and I remember that. It must have been you, Justice. It was either in the Discord or in Twitter, on Twitter. He's been sharing some good alpha with me. So that's a really good point, Rob. Take some of that ETH exposure, shift it over to Atom. Take some of that Arbitrum idea, I'm going to get that high beta ETH stuff and get some high beta Atom stuff. Because you're right. Because after this merge, maybe ETH is shit.
Well, but
maybe it falls flat for a while.
I'm going by your charts. You're the best charter I know. They're so beautiful. It really is clear to me. I wish you were just sitting there every time I had like a buy or sell ticket open where you'd be like, here's the facts. This is what it looks like here. Because the Atom ETH chart looks better than any of that Arbitrum shit to ETH. I mean, and
it does. It looks really fucking cute right now.
Instead of increasing risk to ETH, it kind of.
We just found an outperformer. The outperformer, and that conference is further out than this merge. And this merge, as we know, has been driving some speculation. I don't think it's been this massive rush into the event. I mean, look, we've been just down and sideways for a bit. And I think this is the pause waiting to see if it goes through. And we actually have another breakout candle on the stream the other day. This was a breakout candle, green on the Trendmaster, and it got shut down. It did not close green. It has to close green, and the candle following it has to break the highs of the wick of that green candle. We could get a breakout candle today. We could get a confirmed new trend tomorrow. There's a lot of things, according to this chart, that need to decide for ETH. But I like your thinking, Rob. I should get into the Atom grease. because if this breaks out hard and ETH goes flat and Atom USD basically is breaking out today, I don't think it's about if, it just has to close here and then it's going to be probably 3 or 4 green candles to follow, then what happens to the ETH Cosmos ecosystem?
Oh man, I mean, that would be the chips for you, wouldn't it be? If ETH rallies and Cosmos rallies against ETH.
That's probably like, this is my favorite thing about the show though, is that we get guys in the audience sharing alpha, then I put up some charts, I talk through the charts, you hear me talk and go, oh, what are you talking about then? Stop buying Arbitrum stuff, start buying, because I don't even hear myself talk. Sometimes I'm just blue. We come up with ideas here. This is an idea. I'm going to trade this one. I'm trading this fucking idea, Rob.
This is
Mark
absolutely not financial advice. I can tell you that.
No, not for anyone else. This is you coaching me on how to lose money in the market.
But this might not even be right. Like, let's put it there. I mean, clearly, it's to me right now a lot of 50 bets out there. But,
well, a little bit of clarity. I'll tell you one thing, Rob. You see the market clearly. I might have my levels and my charts, but you hear me speak, and then you're like, logical. You're logical. I'm still admittedly a little too emotional with my decision making. You're a very stone cold killer. I got to give you that. You'll sit there underwater and be like, this is fine.
Right.
The macro, like the Bitcoin thesis is good. Don't lie. You still hold a little bit of Bitcoin.
Well, you have to just bucket. We've talked about it. Bucket your time frame plays. I mean, if I don't lately, I'm just so busy every day that I'm not sitting in front of charts trading, like I used to for my career. So, I have a much longer term horizon here and play. So yeah, I'm going to be steadfast in that. Like, my long-term bags are not changing, right? I'd like to kind of add to them, but I'm not looking at it like I'm not swing trading. I'm not doing that right now. And when you do that, you need to be emotionless. You will not win short-term trading and swing trading. You're not going to win from feel there. That fizzles. Even the best hitters in baseball, they go on stretches where they hit 400 over the last 2 weeks. They've got the stretch coming where they're hitting 180. And that's the best of them. So, the bottom line is... It's
funny how that correlates.
Yeah, when you are, 400 and 180, you're still hitting 290 over that time if it's 2 weeks. Like, bottom line is you need to be methodical when you are day trading, short-term trading, swing trading. You need to. And the best traders there are killers when it comes to that. And like, that's how you have to do it. So
yeah, and I'm actually positioned, I'd say emotionally, like in my life with the things I'm working on, I'm actually better off doing what you're talking about, like a little bit of unplug. With this stream, it's not like, it's a couple hours a week. I mean, I have to pay attention to the market most days to be good at coming on stream and talking, to even have a chance at that. So there are definitely some weeks though where I'm like, fuck, like it'd be a great week. I don't even want to be sitting on my computer. I'm going to go play some golf. I'm going to go mow the lawn at my house. Like, there's things that I need to unplug and do so that I'm not like clicking through 15 minutes. This is part of my journey in this sort of new market state, because last year, forget about it. I'm staring at the computer all day because there was, you catch a DM, you miss that DM, you miss that post, you miss that news drop, and you might miss a 5x, 10x, 50x rally over a 3-week period. And then every day for 3 weeks, you got to check in and everyone's like, oh yeah, man, that's so bad. You missed that. So, but this is a new market state right now. So I have actually been, balancing a bit of that time spent. But anyways, all that to say, I think you're right. I think there's something to be said here, and I shouldn't just look at this and then ignore what we're talking about. And then in like 4 weeks, we see, ETH cools off post-merge maybe. Cosmos breaks out, conference comes, they announce some massive shift in economic or monetary policy for Cosmos, Atom, whatever. And I'm going, oh man, we were all over that. I didn't trade it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go look for some trades today. We're going to get into the pit. I just suggested in the chat that we talk Cosmo Eco plays in the pit. Nobody in the pit is there saying, buy this, it will win. But we do like to cook up ideas over there. And the chefs are in the kitchen.
Yeah, I mean, that's some of the greatest alpha in crypto is like from people like these eco plays. Find the people who are in the eco who are using the apps, the different swap mechanism, all that shit. Like, that's who knows.
How's
You know,
Juno doing?
get in there. Download the wallet.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mix it up.
Play with it a bit. I have an old bag of Juno. I still have some old bags staking, for better or worse. I'm really excited if Secret wants to make a comeback. All these things are just at peak wrecked. So we'll see. They're sitting at these kinds of lows where you're like, if I want to risk against those, maybe. There's probably a lot of new cool plays XPT over on Cosmos that I don't know about. So I've got to do a little more research.
Yeah, I think we all do. I think we all do. What I could tell you is, juice. If we sent the last 10-minute clip to the lead devs and founders of Cosmos and Atom, I think they'd throw us a sponsorship. We sound like Atom Moonboys here.
Yeah, well,
out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I mean,
check my exposure though. I'm not a very good moon boy right now.
No.
I don't have a whole lot. I think I have.
I know.
I
don't either. I have my core bag of it, and to be honest with you, I have not used Atom DeFi. I've not, or Cosmos, whatever it is. I haven't. But the technical people I know, they have a lot of respect for just Cosmos network and ecosystem. So I just have not personally used it. And
yeah. Now one of the things. Now this is stupid. Last year I had a horrendous time dealing with taxes. It took me 6 months. I had to clean up everything. I had to pay an accountant, a whole lot of money, hourlies. And I have this fear now of like getting involved in things that are not properly tracked by coin tracking, which is where I go do my tax stuff, which I think there's better ones I could be using. But I know Messi had a great time with token tax last year. We did a podcast with them. They were pretty sweet. Either way, that's a stupid way to think about it. Go make your money, then worry about taxes. Don't miss out on what is probably an opportunity or looks like a trade you could take because like, oh no, then my taxes, like, fuck, I got through it. Right. So, but that is definitely putting the brakes on for me because Kepler wallet, I do not think that's where you can do all your Cosmos buying, selling and staking. I don't think it's tracked by that yet. I could be wrong, but I have to go look into that. But that's a weird thing I'm struggling with this year. I'm trying to like keep the tax sheets clean. But it's like, I think I probably made 90% of what I made last year out in those like greasy fringe areas of crypto where it's not, well tracked with APIs. It's like so new that they don't exist yet.
Yep.
So I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do with that. I think I've got to look. I don't see it yet. They've got Arbitrum. They've added Optimism. They still don't have Cosmos because they're each their own chain, right? It's going to be a long time before we can get API kind of integrations. I'd be curious what some of the people watching are doing to solve that. Is there a new tax tracking software that looks really closely at Cosmos? That would be helpful. Hit me up in the chat.
Yeah. No, it's a
look.
really
We're getting to the top of the hour. Hit me up with, something new. What do we got? What else is going on in the market these days? What are you watching for into the merge? I mean, it's hard to get away from the merge. Is there anything in particular that one of your cool forward future spreads or any kind of premiums like that you're watching? Or
I mean, same kind of spread right now. The September future is trading. It was $30 under. Let's see what that looks like right at this very second because that's what we can do. So the SEP future, 16, 15, it's $17 under right now. So basically either the people who put it on early and pushed it out to $40 under to try to capture that proof of work airdrop coin or whatever it was, that has contracted. So for the people who we recommended, if you want some exposure on ETH, buy the ETH SEP future, $30 under, $32 under. I think ETH is probably even down in that time and the future has rallied $15-17 on against spot ETH. So that spread's coming in, and guess what? After this merge, that spread is not going to be negative. Odds 99% say that spread is going to flip, where the SEP future is going to trade slightly positive or just right around parity. So the bottom line is, on September expiration, it's going to converge with spot. So it's going to be zero on September 30th at 3 a.m. or 8 a.m. UTC time. That we know.
This is what we're looking at, right? ETH SEP 30 minus ETH USD.
Yeah.
Look at that. I finally figured out how to spot the futures spread. So look, minus 18. So it means, in other words, explain that. ETH futures are trading below spot price.
Yes. So that
people are shorting them.
That people have used this derivative, what it's made for, to hedge positions in spot. So a lot of people bought the spot so that they could get this ETH POW proof of work airdrop, or this hard fork. This there's probably going to be multiple airdrops where they take a snapshot, and they didn't necessarily want to get more Ethereum exposure. So to hedge that spot buy, they sold a future
against it. Yeah. So buy 100, sell 100 of these. You're delta neutral. You're not really going to make or break if ETH goes up or down, but you can capture that ETH POW fork coin that people are speculating on could have as much as 10 to 20% of ETH's value, or more or less.
Correct.
I saw something on Twitter yesterday that basically suggested that whoever's running this ETH POW, this fork, has not updated a certain piece of code. Now, of course, they could. They still have some time, but it's not very useful comment, because I actually don't know where that tweet is. But it was basically like, oh, if those ETH POW forkers want this, they better update this little bit of code, because searchers are going to have a hell of a time if they don't. So I'd be curious. Maybe that's something we could look into for next week.
Yeah.
So is next week the merge? Next week is the merge.
Yeah, I mean, the merge, I think
it's
it's
Thursday.
What is it? Thursday, 14th. It's either the 13th, 14th, 15th. What are we looking at right now?
Look, I know we said we aren't going to do DeltaFi every week, but we may have to do it next week. It's the 15th. It's the fucking merge. If I'm on here on a solo stream without you, Rob, I'm going to be sad. But we'll talk. But look, that it could be. Oh, what is that? Get out of here. Could be next week.
Yep.
That we're looking at. It looks like 15, 16, 17, 18 was the range, I think.
Yep.
Anyways, yeah, so I'd be curious to see, like, up to the minute, at least into next Monday and Tuesday, what this ETH POW stuff is, and I'm sure we can see some evidence of the latest in the futures spreads. So I should probably save this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, replay attack possible with chain ID as one. Chain ID is the same as ETH. Yeah, so there's going to be some really weird shit going on, and I think that is good news for people like me who are actually hoping that post-merge there's a lot more buyers who come out, because we could basically say, like, it's not priced in is a thesis. Now, people knew, well, of course it's priced in. I mean, Bitcoin halving has never been priced in. It's always rallied for a year after it. So I'm sticking to that. That's what I know. I really hope macro fucks off for a bit or lets ETH breathe, but we'll see.
The price is the price.
The price is the price.
Priced in, priced out. I mean,
you heard it here first, folks.
The price is the price that you can act on right now. Period.
Yeah.
Priced in, not priced in. I mean,
I'm speculating in a small way, hopefully in a bigger way. If we dip down a little bit in the next like 3-4 days, maybe through the merge, I would like more exposure to this ETHBTC long, because God, this range. Ooh, I've been watching this thing for a friggin' year since it got up here. When I started working with you, Robbie, fun fact, I think it was July, June.
Yeah, you took a good trade there. I remember
it was
that
May 2020.
0.025 or something. 0.0025. Like it had just dipped to 0.0028. I remember that.
0.025 right here. Yeah, I started working with you because I remember the charts we were putting out. I still have them somewhere, but it was a long time. I've been, so this is a big chart for me, and to sit here on the precipice of a big thing like the merge. I mean, I'm getting fired up, man. It's gonna be a wild week.
Yeah,
it's gonna be a wild month, because really it's after the merge that is where, fireworks through the merge, but it's after that we get to find out what the hell's going on in this market. So,
yeah.
I would like to posit this question. What do you think ETH price would be doing if there was none of this macro shenanigans? And is that holding it down? Is it a beach ball underwater? It should be more bullish, blah, blah, blah. I don't know.
I think it would be around, what is it right now? 0.085, 0.09, 0.00.
084. I mean, that's
Probably
ETHBTC, but ETHUSD, what is...
I know, but that would be there. And, I think Bitcoin's oversold, but it is what it is. Bitcoin is... We're still quoting ETH in Bitcoin terms, dude. Like, it's the most important market there. Like, I know people say, oh, Bitcoin dead, big, old, like, no, whatever. That is, like, to me, just not really the case. And I think there might be the bottom line right now is there's just less like risk angst, like, and this is risk on like vibes. So if there wasn't this whole macro thing, I think there would be more risk on vibes. I think we'd be seeing risk on bets getting played in the ETH BTC and ETH kind of merge thing. So yeah, it would probably be a little firmer. Where would ETH USD be? I mean,
it'd be higher.
2,500.
Yeah, it'd be higher, I think is my point. I mean,
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of this dampening going on, obviously, through this macro stuff.
But guess what? Yeah.
Yeah.
The macro, that's the world we're living in right now.
That's what
Like,
we get. Yeah, I know.
So,
It's like, well, I'd be up more if if we
Yeah.
were in a different world. I
yeah.
don't know.
But if we see the macro stuff kind of subside and all of a sudden, like, the Fed is less hawkish and Russia decides that they're not going to hold Europe hostage with the power prices and all that stuff, like, dude, stuff can get repriced on the upside quickly. I mean, it got repriced on the downside really quickly. So there still is a lot of wealth that's been created globally over the last 5-10 years, a ton.
That's why I find this, it's a very silly narrative. It's this idea of like, well, people are hurting for food and energy. They're not going to buy crypto. And I'm like, bro, yes, there's a lot of people struggling in the world. First of all, they are typically not the ones that move markets, even before they were struggling a little more. But there's a ton of really wealthy people in the world. There's a ton of fairly rich people in the world. And there's a ton of sort of middle-class people in the world, really like myself, trying to make it, where I had $2,000 in my savings account and I put it all in to crypto. And then I took out a loan and I put all that into crypto. This is in 2017. Do not do that. It was a terrible idea. I got very, very lucky. Point is, having less in many ways makes you more susceptible to aping into things. At least in my case, it was like, well, I'm not going to make it on $160 a day as a teacher. Yeah. I need to do something else. I need something more. So there's a ton of stable coins. There's a ton of wealth in the world. The wealth does not get created. It does not disappear. It transfers hands. It's still right somewhere. So I wouldn't be too worried about, is there anyone ever going to be back to buy my bag? The answer is unequivocally yes. It's just, what bag are they buying and when are they buying it and from what level?
Yeah.
Those are the questions we sit around and chat about all day.
Yep.
Look.
Yeah, we've got a question. Who is it?
Let's look at the chat.
Tibble, can Solana do all that ETH does? Is it more or less decentralized than ETH? Is there a day when we all say, who the fuck cares about ETH? Let's just substitute Solana for other layer ones, right? I mean, we're building on Solana. We love Solana. We think it is a great network. Is it as decentralized? I mean, if you ask Anatoly, he'll give you a reason why it might be, because of the number of validators and this and that. And is it truly decentralized where it's spread out amongst more people? No, not even close, I don't believe. But it depends on your definition of decentralized. Can it do all that ETH does? That's another kind of loaded question. It can do a lot. It can do some things that ETH cannot do. ETH can do some things, I think, kind of, it's doing things that Solana can't do yet. But they're different and they're all kind of organic, and they're evolving in real time before our eyes. And I think that other layer ones are going to create a ton of network value for themselves, for their ecosystem, for their token holders. And Solana, I believe, is in a really good position to create value for its network and holders. I think that Ethereum, it is just more seasoned. It has been around longer. It's more hardened. It's just a different species, to be honest. And when you look at Solana, you can look at others as well, and there's going to be even new kind of high throughput and fast networks like Solana that are coming out. You're seeing about people that are, instead of trying to be an ETH killer, they're saying they're Solana killers. You're going to
interesting.
Go on and on and on, and if you're in this space and you're following it and using stuff, you're going to find stuff that you think has a good chance of gaining value, because you're going to see if it provides you value in the stuff that you use. So I think Solana and other layer ones it's not going to be a winner take all with where Ethereum eats the world, but Ethereum is in a great position, and that's because it's more seasoned. It is more widely held, more decentralized, depending on what definition you use. So there's a lot of opportunity out there, and obviously with the macro overhang, it's not going to last forever, and there will be names that gain significant value. So
that's a really good take. And Stargate, perhaps some infrastructure plays, some bridging protocols are a place to hedge out when you don't really know which one you like the most. It's easy to pick favorites. It's not really good, I think, personally, to be a maxi on anything, because the world changes fast and you don't want to be all in or all out. But I like Stargate. Stargate's actually doing well. Let's take a look. We're getting into this kind of nitty-gritty end of the show stuff. We're going to do some chat questions here. So guys, hit us up. There was a chat up here. Seeing Adam, take this moonshot. It's breaking out. How would I apply the PCZ RLZ to try to find an entry? Short or long, whatever. Well, look, zoomed in here, and especially with the way the market is, like, we are getting closer to the end of this move. It tends to accelerate. You have this, then you have this, then we have this, and we have this. And that, I think, will probably culminate, if we get this move, somewhere up around this like low 20s area. So how do I get in on that if I want a piece of that? If I want to be a trader, I want in and then I need out. If I want to be an investor, then where I get in is less important. I'll show you this. Right now, it's kind of stair-stepping. Reload. Oh dear. Oh dear. What did you guys miss? I don't know. I am literally on a Wi-Fi hotspot right now. That one was the internet. It has not gone down in months. So this is just a bad luck. Bad luck Chuck on that one. If it's an easy plug-in, I'd like to get Rob back. If it's going to be a whole thing. There he is. Is he back? Okay. Guys, we're on a hotspot right now, so I'm not going to stay long. I don't know. It's like coaxial cable not detected. So, like, did someone downstairs unplug my internet? I don't know. This is weird. Anyways, Robbie, sorry, dude.
All good.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Point I was going to make is when I look at this chart, the easiest thing I see, although I find it hard to measure risk with this approach, is just to buy these throwbacks. Say, oh, resistance, resistance. Oh, we've broken out. Don't chase it. Just next time things puke out, try to get that support. Otherwise, you can get a much juicier dip perhaps, but you risk obviously missing it, and that is to just take the low to the new high, follow it up, and it might even be something like this. Actually, that would make a lot of sense. Look at this. You've got resistance here. That would also place the 318 or 382 right here, which so often is the case where these fib lines level up with existing support resistance, and then that. And instead of puking out your position that you FOMO'd into up here and then you start selling it here, you're being patient and actually loading here. That's the hard part of doing this, and that's generally what I would be looking at here. You know, so it's essentially the same as waiting for this throwback, but in PCZ terms, it means we have to go to 17 first, which means days of watching and waiting and not being on board. So, long story short, that's how I would apply the PCZ here, just following from this low all the way up to whatever high, and then waiting and buying whatever 382 comes next. Eventually, the 382 will hit from some level. It's the safest way to play. Preserve capital kind of stuff. Because the worst part is if you don't do that and you just chase, usually you end up puking your guts out right around that 382 when it does come in. So, Rob, in lieu of, well, I don't know where the hell I was going with that sentence, but just in case we get cut off again, say something. Let's get out of here. We got to go. Everyone, get to the exit. We're burning.
Yeah. No, I mean,
thoughts.
listen, your technical issues, it's worth it to sit and watch you go through charts, buddy.
Aw, Rob, as the guy who hired me to come in here and build this with you, I love you.
Dude, you're giving it's a public service. It's great. I mean, to be able to talk shop and do this, we're
on like a Wi-Fi hotspot on my phone. Smash the likes. Yeah. Sorry, guys. As we talk about smash the likes, we're still not even connected, but we're on my phone's hotspot. I was like, I'm not waiting 5 minutes for the internet to reload. Anyways, guys, it's been an absolute pleasure hanging with you guys. A little bit stressful on the back end here, trying to get the connection going, but we'll be back next Tuesday for the network effect with Gunny. And I'm going to push the boys to come for a bonus DeltaFi next week instead of skipping a week because of the merge. So we'll see if we can get that going.
all right.
From now until then, whatever you do, always play